Welcome to another episode of Football Scientific with me, Aaron Sauter. I'm a writer for the footballanalysis1.com website. I cover the Cincinnati Bengals. Also, I cover the Hamilton Tiger Cats on the CFLnewshub.com. Also on Football Scientific, we talk about the UFL, the IFL, the NAL, and the ELF, European League of Football. Today is our Super Prediction Palooza. Whoop, 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 whoop. We are making predictions about the UFL, the IFL, the NAL, and the ELF today. Remember, you can bet on the UFL. You can bet on the IFL. I'm not saying you should. Gambling's bad, kids. But if you did it, you should use my picks because you would win. You would win. I win all the time on these picks. We're the #1 website to check out if you want to win at picks for the UFL and the IFL. Soon the CFL will be upon us. That starts preseason games full speed. 4 games this Saturday. Okay, we're going to talk about those. We won't do predictions because who cares who wins a preseason game? But I did do an article today about the preseason game with the Toronto Argonauts and Hamilton Tiger Cats, so check that out. It has depth charts. Whoop! I'll show the depth charts on my Twitter. Whoop! At Aaron Sauter 7. Check it out. Also, like the video. Boop, if you like the video. Boop. The algorithm. Boop, will spread us further. Boop, if you like the video. Boop, if you don't. Boop, I won't know the difference. I don't check that stuff. Also, subscribe to the channel. We're at 82 people. We want to get to 100. Joining my quest for 100 and Super Prediction Palooza, I have my co-host, Tyler the Tiger. Hey, Tyler the Tiger, I'm back. I'm back again. I've been here all week, you know. I feel like I've been doing the show all week. I mean, Ziggy did the show yesterday because of the Jim Irsay thing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I jumped in late, you know. I jumped in and I did my thing. And I really felt good about it. Yeah, I feel good about it. Yeah, you did pretty good. Pretty good. I did great. I'm amazing. I run this show. I run this show. Okay, Tyler, you gotta move aside. They're getting kind of weird. All right, boom. First in the UFL before we go to the predictions. The Arlington Renegades have added off tackle Adrian Eady to the IR list. Goodbye, Adrian. Yo, Adrian, I'm on the injured list. All right, then we got UFL predictions. Here we go. You ready, Tyler? Let's get it. Let's get these predictions and win some money. We're not betting, Tyler. I bet some money. Did you? How'd you get money? I found some in the couch, and I'm using that money to make billions. Billions off our predictions. I will make billions. Ha 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 ha. Found money in the couch? Yeah. Is it yours? I don't use money. Okay. All right. That's good. All right. So in the UFL, week 9. Now remember, the matchup for the USFL conference has already been set. It'll be Michigan Panthers, Birmingham Stallions at Protective Stadium in Alabama 2 weekends from now. The XFL conference is already set. You can see the Defenders at the St. Louis Battlehawks in St. Louis, America's Dome. That'll be in 2 weeks. We'll talk about those as we get closer. But for this week's games, which have a limited importance, but are important if you're a bettor. And they're important if you're just an analytical fan like we are, you know? We're just analytical fans. We're not bettors. Who would do that? That's crazy, man. All right, so in the UFL, tonight, Friday, May 23rd, 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Okay. The St. Louis Battlehawks travel to the San Antonio Brahmas in the Alamo Dome. Battlehawks are 6-2. Brahmas are 1-7. Battlehawks are playing some backups. They signed some people who are playing some backups. Brahmas are trying to get another win. I bet Brahmas go 3-7. Which would be weird if the Battlehawks end up being 6-4. That can't be. The Battlehawks just take a dive. I mean, it doesn't hurt them to take a dive. because they're already hosting the XFL Conference Championship. They're already hosting the XFL or the UFL Conference or USL Championship. So it doesn't matter if they lose. It doesn't matter if they win. So maybe they take a dive. Go Brahmas. Go Brahmas. Go Brahmas. Okay. All right. So with that in mind, Brahmas is going to come out. Kellerman's going to start at quarterback. St. Louis Battlehawks. Who knows? They're a mess. You know, they're a mess. Who in the UFL is not a mess? Everyone's a mess. Okay. So how I expect this game to go down, I expect the Brahmas to come out and try to jump out a little bit because they got some backups for the Battlehawks. We'll turn the ball over. We may get a 9-point lead. We'll turn the ball over. We won't run the ball enough. Well, we ran the ball quite a bit last week and lost them for sure, but it's in overtime. But it shows we can run the ball. I think they'll get a lead. I think they'll blow it to the St. Louis Battlehawks. I got Battlehawks to win this game in the Alamo. Well, it would be in the Alamo Dome. Except San Antonio Brahmas get no true home game, so they're hosting the game at America's Dome. So it's still in St. Louis. It's a road game, okay? I got St. Louis win this game 22-15, 37 total points. Now DraftKings agrees with me. They got the Battlehawks as 6.5-point favorites, so a 7-point spread would be right there. And that means the San Antonio Brahmas are 6.5-point underdogs, 7-point spreads right there. Over-under is at 42.5. I'd say it's going under. I don't think the Brahmas will do their part to go over. That's why it will be under. Okay, next, Saturday, May 20th. This is tomorrow, May 24th at 12 p.m. on ABC. The also eliminated from the playoffs Arlington Renegades, 3-5, will travel to the Memphis Showboats, also eliminated from the playoffs, 2-6, to battle for pride. Arlington Renegades, Luis Perez, much better quarterback than anyone the Memphis Showboats has. Can run the ball, but haven't run the ball that great recently. They have lost some shootouts. They should have beat these defenders last week, but instead of kicking a field goal to go to overtime, they threw an interception and in the game. Dumb move. I suspect they will beat the Memphis Showboats. I have the Arlington Renegades win this game 22-16 in Memphis. DraftKings agrees with me. They have the Arlington Renegades at negative 4.5-point favorite. They got Memphis Showboats at plus 4.5 underdog. Over-under is 40.5. I got this game going under. Once again, I think the Showboats are going to do their part to go over on this. It could be a blowout, though. But I don't think so. I think it's be 22-16. So if I was betting on this game, I would have Arlington Renegades on the money line, and I go under. Yes. Okay, the first game, Battlehawks, I would go St. Louis Battlehawks on the money line and go under. Okay, next. Also tomorrow at 3 p.m. on ABC, Saturday, May 24th at 3 p.m. at ABC, a preview of the USFL Conference Championship game. The Michigan Panthers, 6-2, first place in the USFL Conference, will travel to the Birmingham Stallions, 5-3. Birmingham Stallions are coming off a 1-point loss to the St. Louis Battlehawks last week to go to 5-3. Remember, the Birmingham Stallions, there's two things going for Birmingham here. First, they're at home. That's three things, I guess. Second, they never lost 2 games in a row in their entire history of recent spring football. They have not lost 2 games in a row, and they've never lost to the Michigan Panthers. Okay, so that's the deal there. So with that in mind, I think it's going to be a slugfest. I think Michigan's better at quarterback than Birmingham, but they had quarterback issues, so it's hard to see what you're going to get. I think it'll be a close game. I think both defenses will play and both offenses will run the ball pretty well. So with that in mind, I have this game going 30-26 Birmingham Stallions. I think they'll have to go on a last-minute drive to win the game. They'll win 30-26. Okay, I got 56 total points being scored here. That's based on the projections I've had from the last couple of weeks. DraftKings sort of agrees with me. They got the Birmingham Stallions as a negative 0.5 favorite. That's probably the slimmest favorite I've ever seen. At least it's not a push, So negative 0.5 favorite. Michigan Panthers plus 0.5 underdog. So it doesn't make any sense to take the points with the Panthers. It's less than 1 point. Okay, so if they don't win, that's the meaningless line. A 0.5 line is meaningless. It's dumb. It's just the money line bet, y'all. It's just the money line bet. So I'm taking the Birmingham Stallions on the money line. They've never lost to Michigan, and they've never lost 2 games in a row. Everything's pointing towards the Birmingham Stallions win this game at home. Over-under's 44.5. According to DraftKings, I got this going 56. I got it going over. Okay, Sunday, May 25th, 4 p.m. on Fox. We got DC Defenders, 6-2, traveling to the Houston Roughnecks, 3-5, eliminated from the playoffs. Okay, Roughnecks have been playing pretty tough recently, though, and DC Defenders are susceptible to bad games. So, how I have this game going down, I got DC Defenders defense balling out. I got Houston Roughnecks offense balling out. I got their defense playing well. Should be a well-played game, honestly. Should be a well-played game. I got DC pulling it off in the 4th quarter with Jordan Tiama. I think they got the better quarterback, which will win them this game. So with that in mind, I got DC Defenders winning this game 25-18. 25-18 at Houston. That's total points 43. Looking at DraftKings. DraftKings says DC Defenders by negative 3.5. So that means they're 3.5-point favorites. Okay? And that means the Houston Roughnecks are 3.5-point underdogs. Over-under is 45.5. Honestly, I'm taking DC Defenders on the money line. The points are sketchy with the DC Defenders. Sometimes they're not consistent. So I would hate to take points with them. But definitely in the money line, DC Defenders are going to win this game in my mind. Boop. All right. Next, IFL news. IFL! Yes, IFL news, okay? First, there's a bunch of transactions recently. That's kind of how the IFL goes. Right before games start, before they travel, they do a bunch of transactions. So Jacksonville Sharks, they signed quarterback Tyler Huff, trying to boost their offense some, and they put on short-term IR defensive back Malik Fleming. Goodbye. Vegas Nighthawks, they signed defensive back Trayvon Jones. San Diego Strikeforce, they signed wide receiver Javon Lofton Wilson and released wide receiver Drayshawn Hudson. Arizona Rattlers were really busy. They put wide receiver Corey Reed on the season IR. That's going to be a loss for them. That's one less weapon for Dalton Snead to hit. They signed defensive back Otjo So. What? Okay. They signed defensive back Jermaine Dubs. They also re-signed, it's midway through the season, he finally re-signed these guys. Defensive back Rashi Hodge. Let's go Rashi. And wide receiver Austin Johnson. So I guess that's what I released. They brought Austin Johnson in to replace Corey Reed because of the season IR. And then they released a bunch of people, so this will make things more clear too on what they did. Offensive line-wise, they released Javion Caldwell, which they didn't replace him, so they must have had someone better on the roster already. They released wide receiver Brian Smith because Austin Johnson's coming on. It must be an upgrade for them. Defensive back Isaiah Huff is gone, so Otjo So must be better than him. And defensive back Omari Alexander is gone. Jermaine Dubs must be taking his job. Okay, so that's how it's going. It all makes sense. I don't think you're going to see a significant drop from the Arizona Rattlers, to be honest. Okay, all right, so then we got our predictions. There's a lot of predictions. There's 5 games in IFL this weekend. So first, tonight, Friday, May 23rd, 8 p.m., 8:05 p.m. on the IFL Network. I'll be watching this game. Tulsa Oilers, 5-2, going to Iowa Barnstormers, 1-6. You may say 5-2 and 1-6. Tulsa Oilers are going to destroy the Iowa Barnstormers. That's not generally how this goes. In the IFL, that's not how this goes. Records. You can't really use records to make any predictions because it goes deeper than that. It goes into the numbers. I do a lot of numbers analysis after these games, like from the week before, and that's how I make my predictions. And I think that's more important than the records, honestly, okay? So how I see this game going down, Tulsa Oilers will go to Iowa. They'll run the ball. They'll play defense. TJ Edwards will come out and probably score 5-6 touchdowns himself. I got them scoring 60 points in this game. Iowa Barnstormers. Now, Iowa Barnstormers are streaky. They run this little empty set air raid stuff in the dome in arena ball. I don't think it makes any sense to run air raid stuff in arena ball. That's meant to spread the field. You can't spread a tiny field, okay? But they still try. But here's the thing. In an air raid offense in the arena football game, you're getting very streaky. If they come out and Tulsa doesn't do a good job of covering them, which Tulsa didn't do a good job of covering the Green Bay Blizzard a couple weeks ago, and they lost in overtime. If that happens, Iowa Barnstormers are going to put up a pretty good fight here. Iowa Barnstormers really cannot run the ball very well. So if it comes down to a shootout, they got a chance. If it comes down to a defensive game, they have no chance. I think at Iowa, Tulsa has not been the best on the road. So I have this game going Tulsa Oilers 60, Iowa Barnstormers 48. I think the Barnstormers will turn the ball over at least twice, probably 5 times. I got the total points at 108. I think it's going to be a score fest just because of the nature of Iowa Barnstormers and the fact they can't stop the run and Tulsa wants to run the ball. I think it's going to light up the scoreboard pretty quick. Okay, DraftKings sort of agrees. They got Tulsa Oilers favored by 7.5 points. So that's your favorite. They got Iowa Barnstormers underdog by 7.5 points. They get the over-under at 87.5. I just think because of the nature of this game, it's going to be higher scoring than that, but I've been wrong before. If Tulsa controls the pace of the game, it might be a much lower scoring game. But they got to go in 87.5. I got to go in 108 just because the last couple of times I went low on Tulsa Oilers, they blew up. So I'm going high on this one, so they'll probably go low. They'll probably get 60 total points in the game. That's how it goes with Tulsa. So I'm saying it's over, and I'm saying go with Tulsa on the money line. Tulsa's going to win the game. It's a matter of how much do they win it by. That's the question. How high is the scoring get is the question. They're going to beat the Iowa Barnstormers. Saturday, May 24th, 7:05 p.m. Eastern on IFL Network. We got the 5-2 Jacksonville Sharks traveling to the Fisher's Freight, playing the Fisher's Freight again. Last time they played the Freight, I figured it would be a close game, but Jacksonville trounced the Fisher's Freight. Okay, now I'm saying Jacksonville's going on the road. They're not going to be in the Shark Tank this time. They're going to be at the Fisher's Freight. They have their own crowd. They get kind of loud. They try to play well there. They're on a 5-game losing streak. Jacksonville Sharks are slowly climbing to the top of the Eastern Conference. But I say this is going to be a kind of a trap game for Jacksonville. This would be a good time to get trapped by the Fisher's Freight, thinking that you're already better than this team. So I expect both teams to come out swinging. I got Jacksonville Sharks winning this game 43-40. Total points 83. DraftKings has Jacksonville winning by 8.5 points. I think that's over-exaggerated, but it might be under. You never know. I think DraftKings has it going. They got 8.5. I think Fisher's Freight, with their home crowd, want to put up a good fight here. I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll keep it within 8.5 points. So if I was betting on this game, I would go Fisher's Freight with the points. And the over-under is 81.5. I'm saying it's going 83, going over, assuming Fisher's Freight does their job. They score some points, okay? So I got Fisher's Freight on my bet, but I got Jacksonville Sharks for the win. I got Tulsa Oilers for the win and my bet. And I went over on both of those. Okay. Saturday, May 24th, 7:05 p.m. IFL Network. The Bay Area Panthers traveling San Antonio Gunslingers. I feel like we've done this once before, okay? It also makes it together as well. Bay Area Panthers 5-2. San Antonio Gunslingers 2-5. They picked up the win last week, though. I didn't think they would, but they did. So how I have this game playing out, I just think Bay Area is a better team overall. Bay Area is a better team. When the San Antonio Gunslingers are hitting on all cylinders, they give themselves a chance to win. But Bay Area Panthers have a better defense and a better offense. So I suspect they'll control the pace of this game. With that in mind, I have Bay Area Panthers winning the game 42-30 at San Antonio. I got 72 total points scored. DraftKings agrees with me. They have Bay Area Panthers as a 9.5 point favorite. I have it as a 12 point favorite. Bay Area Panthers have a 9.5 point favorite. Gunslingers 9.5 point underdog. They get the over on 82.5. I say it will go under just because I think Bay Area will control the pace of the game, and it benefits them to keep the game lower scoring. Okay, higher a shootout goes to the San Antonio Gunslingers like they did last week in overtime against San Diego Strike Force. If you shoot it out with them, they're going to beat you. But I think Bay Area is smart in that, and they're going to grind this thing out. Okay, next, Saturday, May 24th, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, we got the Arizona Rattlers 6-1. Traveling to the Northern Arizona Wranglers, 1-6. Now, once again, this is a game where you'd say 6-1, 1-6. This is going to be a beatdown. But the Rattlers tend to struggle at Northern Arizona. Okay, they tend to struggle there. If you remember, they played a few weeks ago. Arizona Rattlers trounced the Northern Arizona Wranglers, but they also got upset by the Tucson Sugar Skulls. So what's going to happen here? I think what's going to happen, the Rattlers, while they won't completely destroy the Northern Arizona Wranglers, are the better team. They got all the weapons. They got everything you need. Northern Arizona does not. Northern Arizona needs you to make mistakes for them to win the game, like Massachusetts did last week. Okay, Massachusetts is prone to making a lot of mistakes. And they did. They lost Northern Arizona Wranglers, giving them a win, which is pretty high. But I think the Rattlers, while they may make a few mistakes, will not make as many mistakes as Massachusetts. So I got Rattlers win the game 51-30, 81 in total points scored. DraftKings agrees. They have Arizona Rattlers winning by 13.5, and they have over 82.5. I say, I just have it barely going under. I wouldn't bet on that. I would take Rattlers in the money line. Although if you take Northern Arizona money line and they win, remember Rattlers do tend to struggle at Northern Arizona for whatever reason. Okay. Sunday, May 25th, last game in IFL. We got 9:05 p.m. Eastern. We got the Vegas Nighthawks traveling to the San Diego Strikeforce. San Diego Strikeforce last week was the better team against San Antonio Gunslingers, but they let it be a shootout, and they came up short in overtime by missing an extra point, losing 49-48 to San Antonio Gunslingers. So anything can happen, but they tend to be a better team at home. Vegas Nighthawks, I think, are getting back into a playoff run mode. San Diego Strikeforce took that L to San Antonio. I don't see them getting into playoff run mode. It's the second half of the season. Things should start ramping up here. I got Jerome Johnson. I don't think San Diego Strikeforce can stop Jerome Johnson. Everyone knows how to beat the Vegas Nighthawks. Don't let Jerome Johnson run the ball. They can throw the ball. You win the game. Okay? I don't think the Strikeforce will do that. And I think that they don't run the ball very well. They won't control the pace of the offense. I think Vegas will control the pace of this game, and Vegas will get the win in San Diego 39-35. I have 74 total points scored because if Vegas plays the game the way they want to, they don't want this game going over 80, okay, total points. DraftKings, someone agrees with me. They have Vegas as a 1.5 point favorite, so they have San Diego as a 1.5 point underdog. The over-under is 84.5. I got this going under just because I think Vegas is going to control the game, and they're going to want to keep it under to win this game. If they make the mistake of letting San Diego control the pace, it's going to go over, y'all. That's how it goes. But I don't think they're going to let that happen. Okay, National Arena League. Columbus Lions, they released offensive line Kenneth Williams. They made a bunch of moves this week. That's one they made yesterday. Okay, they have a one-day delay on their transactions list. So if you wonder why I mentioned it today from yesterday, that's why. It's a one-day delay. Okay, so games this weekend. We got Saturday, May 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern on the National Arena League channel on YouTube. We got the Columbus Lions, 4-3, traveling to the Wheeling Miners, who are 3-5. This game, Wheeling Miners need to win this to have any chance to make a run for the playoffs. There's only 2 games left, though, so if we do some math real quick. Columbus Lions have a 1.5 point lead, 1.5 game lead over the Wheeling Miners. I think the Miners are out because, well, not necessarily, because Columbus loses both games this week and next week. That puts them at 4-5. Wheeling Miners win both games. They're going to be at 5-5. They probably going to play one more fight at 4-5. And if they beat Columbus, this is probably a playoff game, honestly. Breaking it down, it's probably a playoff game. Columbus Lions tend to be very inconvenient for me. When I think they're going to struggle offensively, they blow it up. When I think they're going to blow it up, they struggle offensively. So, how do I have this game going? I think Wheeling has a good feel for things after beating the Sioux City Bandits last week. But I think Columbus does not want to be denied. And I think Columbus will end up playing Omaha Beef for the NAL Championship. I've been wrong before, of course. But with them beating the Beaumont Renegades last week, I think that opens the door for them to make it to the championship game. They get trounced by the Omaha Beef. I think that's how it's going down. So what do I have going on here? I have the Columbus Lions winning this game on the road in Wheeling, 35-31. Okay, tough game, shootout. Columbus Lions win again 35-3. We're not going to wheelie manage out of the playoff race. Okay. Next, Saturday, May 24th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We got the Shreveport Rougarou, who are 4-4. Now they're 4-4. If you do the math, if Columbus loses to Wheeling and Shreveport wins 2 straight games, they win. They're second in the American Conference. They win a playoff spot to play the Beaumont Renegades. Okay, so they're playing for their playoff lives as well. Shreveport Rougarou, 4-4. Omaha Beef, 6-1. They played earlier this season. Omaha Beef controlled the game and shut down Shreveport Rougarou. Rougarou took a big hit last week with all their people being kicked off the team after their mental breakdown, their meltdown versus the Dallas Falcons. So they're going to play the Dallas Falcons again too on June 5th. I think they're not expecting to make the playoffs, honestly. So they're playing a game on June 5th, which is when the playoffs start, I believe. So I think this is how it's go down. I think Omaha comes out and plays a tough game. I think they win 50-22. Okay, Saturday, May 24th, 8:10 p.m. Eastern. We got the Colorado Spartans, second place of the National Conference. They're locked in. Sioux City's out. Idaho's out. Colorado Spartans are definitely going to be in the playoffs. They're trying to have a chance to go over the top and take the top spot and host the Omaha Beef. I don't think the Beef will let that happen. I think they're going to beat Shreveport and clinch their number 1 seed. Why will they clinch the number 1 seed? Because they're 6-1. They're 6-2. They both win 7-1, 7-2. Why does Omaha clinch? Well, because I have the Colorado Spartans going to Sioux City. And I think Sioux City is a better team than Colorado Spartans. I think the Spartans are good enough to beat all the bad teams and not good enough to beat the good teams. And while the Sioux City Bandits are 3-5, they've had a really tough schedule. And while Colorado Spartans are 6-2, they've had a pretty soft schedule. So I expect to see the Sioux City Bandits win this game 42-26. Colorado's in the playoffs. But with that loss, I have them going to Omaha. And they'll lose. Columbus will upset the Beaumont Renegades like they did last week, and then they will be playing in the championship. That's how I see it breaking down. And a non-league game, that probably counts for a league game because it's a replacement for either the Carolina Cobras or the Amarillo Dusters or the Corpus Christi Tritons, who all got booted from the league early on. Sunday, May 25th, 8 p.m., we get the Alabama Empire, who plays in the same league as the Las Vegas Kings. Traveling to the Beaumont Renegades, Renegades, I think. They're 6-1. They lost to Columbus last week, but I think Columbus is ramping up. So I have Beaumont win this game by a lot, 60-7. I haven't seen them play a team that's not from the league, but they've beaten all the good teams. And the only team they have not beaten is Columbus Lions, which are pretty decent. So I got Beaumont win this game 60-7. Will it count for a game? I think they'll get a forfeit win. I bet they'll be 7-1. They're locked into that top spot in the American Conference. They're locked in. Okay? All right. Boom. Next. Remember, it is a Super Prediction Palooza day. So now we have elf predictions. I don't know if you can gamble on these in the United States. And it's hard to watch the games. I am watching the games on tape delay. I watched them all this week. Okay? So first game tomorrow, we got Saturday, May 24th, the Fehérvár and Throners from Hungary. They're 0-1. They're traveling to the Vienna Vikings of Austria. They're 1-0. Vienna did not explode as much as I thought they would do on offense against the Prague Lions. Fehérvár put up a little bit of fight early on last week. But ultimately, Fehérvár is not going to score enough points to beat the best teams in the European League of Football. So I got Vienna Vikings winning this, getting their second win in a row. I got them winning this 35-6 in Vienna. Now, it could be a blowout, but I got them winning 35-6. I don't know why they didn't score more points on the Prague Lions. That concerns me. Watch the game. They just did look very efficient. But it's also very early in the season. Saturday, May 24th, we got the Hamburg Sea Devils, 0-1. They came 1 point short of getting a win last week, going to Prague Lions, 0-1. Prague Lions are not a very good team, but they played tough against the Vienna Vikings, so I think they'll play tough here too. Hamburg lost by 1 point to Madrid Bravos, but they lost their quarterback. They lost their quarterback. They picked up another quarterback, and then they picked up Talia Tagovailoa, who's the brother of Tua Tagovailoa. He's playing for the Hamburg Sea Devils. He'll probably make his debut today. He'll probably light it up. I have Hamburg to win this game 24-6 because I don't think Prague's that good, and I think Tagovailoa is going to want to prove a point. Okay, after getting dropped by the Hamburg Tiger Cats. Saturday, May 24th, Frankfurt Galaxy 0-1, but they were in a tough game last week. They were traveling to the Madrid Bravos, who are 1-0, who also, they won a tough game last week against the T-Roll Raiders. Okay, I got Madrid playing tough. I think Reed Sennett is not the dude. I got Frankfurt. If they play as good as they did last week, they'll beat the Madrid Bravos. I got them beating the Madrid Bravos 26-18 and get both teams going to 1-1. Okay, so I think that's a game Frankfurt will win 26-18 in Madrid. Okay, next big news here. Sunday, May 26th, Nordic Storm were 1-0 and dominated last week against the Helvetic Mercenaries. Not saying that means anything though. Will travel to the Wroclaw Panthers, who also played really well last week. I would have the Nordic Storm win this game like 42-32. But running back Glenn Tunga, probably the best player in the league. He plays for the Nordic Storm. He's gone. Achilles explosion. Gone for the year. Okay? So I think it's going to be a major problem for them. They had some passing game that blew up for them. They had some defensive touchdowns that blew up for them. I think those defensive touchdowns skewed the final score of the last week's game. So I think Nordic Storm are going to come in. I think they're going to struggle without Glenn Tunga at the running game. I think Wroclaw Panthers are the worst opponent you can play if you just lost your top running back, because Wroclaw plays good defense and plays good offense. They're not a great team, but they're a solid team. I have Wroclaw winning this game in Poland 32-22. Boom. 32. That'll be an upset, but not really, because Nordic Storm are not the same team without Glenn Tunga, okay? So that'll put Wroclaw Panthers at 2-0. That's a good start if they can get that. And they beat one of the teams that's probably, it's an expansion team, but probably the best team in the league until Glenn Tunga went down. Sunday, May 26th, we got the Stuttgart Surge, 25th maybe, I don't know. We got the Stuttgart Surge, 1-0, who looked really good last week against the Paris Musketeers, who struggled offensively against a changed Ryan Fire. Ryan Fire still looked pretty good. Paris Musketeers did not look as good without Zach Edwards as their quarterback. Okay, Stuttgart Surge looked really good. I got Stuttgart Surge winning this game 38-18, and Paris going to 2-0. Paris going to 0-2. We'll see what happens. That quarterback situation may be a mess for the Paris Musketeers. Sunday, May 26th, we get the Helvetic Mercenaries, who are 0-1 after losing to a Nordic Storm, playing the T-Roll Raiders. Someone's going to have to win a game here. T-Roll Raiders struggled mightily against the Munich Ravens. Struggled mightily. They have a very good defense though. Okay? I think struggling against the Munich Ravens is not an indicator how they'll play against the Helvetic Mercenaries. Helvetic Mercenaries are not nearly as good as the Munich Ravens. I think T-Roll will still struggle to get things going, but I think they'll end up winning this game at home 18-15 in an ugly game. That's probably an ugly game. They're both 0-1. I think T-Roll will get to 1-1 after beating the Helvetic 18-15. Okay. Last game in the ELF, the European League of Football, the ELF. Sunday, we have the Berlin Thunder, who are 1-0 and blew up the Cologne Centurions last week. Cologne Centurions looked horrible against the Berlin Thunder. They're playing the Munich Ravens, who are a good team. Probably the best defense in the ELF. Okay? So we're going to find out real quick if the Berlin Thunder are for real and can beat a good defense, or if they just picked on a bad team last week by beating the Cologne Centurions. Okay? Both teams are 1-0. I got Berlin winning this game 30-16. I think their offense is not as good as it looked last week, but I think they're still strong. They do a lot of vertical passing concepts. They attack downfield all the time. I think the Munich Ravens would rather have them run the ball and keep the game in front of them. I think it's going to be difficult for the Ravens. I don't think the Ravens will score as much. Their offenses, they're kind of like the Baltimore Ravens back in the day. their offense doesn't match the strength of their defense. So I think Berlin will outscore them in this game. But I think they'll turn the ball over, and it'll be fairly exciting, I believe. Okay, and then last set of, we're not really making predictions on this, but last set of games. Tomorrow, there are 4 preseason games in the CFL. It's technically week 2. Week 1 was Calgary Stampeders beating the BC Lions. Just one game last Monday. But this week, we got 4 games tomorrow on CFL Plus, also some other channels. I put a pregame article for a Toronto-Hamilton game on CFL News Hub today, so check that out, including the depth charts for both teams. So here's how it's looking. Saturday, May, 4 p.m. tomorrow, 4 p.m. tomorrow, CFL Plus, Ottawa Red Blacks at Montreal US. We'll see how both teams look. This is not about winning the game per se, it's about giving a look at your players, but for me, it's a good chance to look and see how well these teams are playing, okay? Both teams made the playoffs last year, Ottawa Red Blacks, Montreal US, but like everyone in the CFL, the rosters have changed, so it should be interesting to see how they play. Also, Saturday, 4 p.m., we got the Saskatchewan Roughriders at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Should be a good game if you like Canadian football. Will it be entertaining? I don't know. I think it will be entertaining. But they're trying to get evaluations of both players. I'd like to see how both teams look, though. But if I got to pick between Ottawa Red Blacks, Montreal US, Saskatchewan Roughriders, and Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I'm probably picking Ottawa Red Blacks and Montreal US just because it pertains more to the Tiger Cats. Okay. At 7 p.m., CFL Plus and TSN2. I said CFL Plus, United States International Games. It says TSN2, but I don't have cable. I don't get that. I'm in the United States, so. 7 p.m. Hopefully it's on CFL Plus. We get the Toronto Argonauts traveling to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Both teams have seen a lot of change. Tiger Cats are trying to get their defense fixed. Toronto's trying to get everything fixed. Although Toronto's won the last 2 out of 3 Grey Cups. That's a big difference between the two teams. Hamilton hasn't won a Grey Cup since 1999. It's in Hamilton at Hamilton Stadium, formerly Tim Hortons Field. So I have the Hamilton winning this game. I don't know. I didn't pick a winner. Just because it's hard to pick a winner for preseason. The winner is no one gets hurt, honestly, and you get good evaluations of other players. Saturday, May 24th, 9:30 p.m., the last game of the CFL Week 2 preseason game. We got Edmonton Elks at the Calgary Stampeders. The Edmonton Elks have loaded their roster full of defensive players. I don't think they did a whole lot of offense, though. Calgary Stampeders looked really good against the BC Lions. So I think that'll be an entertaining game, and it'll be interesting to see how both teams come out and play. Give us a good read for that. Okay, so that's going to be Calgary Stampeders' last preseason game since they played BC Lions last week. So, do I expect cuts after these games? Yes. Do I expect widespread cuts? No. Because you still have 1 more week of training camp, and then you have the last preseason game next week. And generally, at least Hamilton plays all their backups in that second preseason game. So in this preseason game, they'll start with their starters, get some reps, and then work people through. Next preseason game, they won't play the starters. They'll be all backups, people they want to cut. They don't want to cut. They're going to figure out who they don't want to cut. So I don't think you'll see widespread cuts after this game, but there have been widespread cuts every day. So, you never know. See how it goes. It comes down to how well they play. So that is the plan. Super Prediction Palooza. We have lots of spring football. Should be crazy. Tyler, do you have any closing thoughts? I think it's going to be good games. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think our predictions are on fire. It's awesome. Okay? I think it's going to be awesome. So we're going to watch that game tonight. Tulsa Oilers and Iowa Barnstormers. Let's go, Tulsa. That's all I got. Okay. All right. So thanks, Tyler. So that's it for Football Scientific Day. That was our prediction, Super Prediction Palooza. We're going to close the Football Scientific portal. And enjoy your evening and watch some spring football. Bye-bye.